And, you know, I had to deal with these dramas all the time. And the worst thing about Bob is that he tries to intimidate people, so then I had to deal with workers versus Bob, and I had to deal with workers' girlfriends versus Bob, and I had to deal, and he's just, I don't even, what would the word be?
Asshole.
Okay. What happened the night that the police were called? I haven't asked anyone this. The night that the police came out, and I guess there was a altercation between Spouse and Joe Bob's.
Basically, what had happened was it was one of our bigger shows too. I think we had a nice crowd. We had you could come in, like we had a good lineup for that night. It was I think it was the night that I believe it was the night that Leon won the title. I'm not sure, but
it was Leon versus Biff.
Yeah, and basically what had happened was Justin Cade had brought his girlfriend, and he was there with Chris Gray. And I went to Bob, and I was like, you know, Bob made me make a list of comps. This person who's getting comped. And he only gave me so many comps. And for every 10 people who came in the door, we get a free comp, a new free comp. It was really ridiculous. It was really ridiculous. And basically what ended up happening was he was trying to tell her she had to pay. Now, I tried telling Bob, she doesn't want to watch the show. She wants to watch Justin's match, take some pictures, and then leave. It was a reasonable compromise. He made a big deal about it. So then they got in her face. Chris Gray took up for her because he was sitting there and they're screaming at this girl. And so then what ended up happening was they got into a big altercation. Someone called the cops. The cops showed up, and then I ended up having to talk to cops all night, trying to convince them not to trespass certain workers who had nothing to do with it. One in particular being that VA Hampton and Justin Cade, who were in the ring wrestling when this all went down. So there was a lot of dumb little dramas like that. I had run into the same situation that night. Another person they tried to do it was with CJ, and I'm like, CJ works for me. Like, why is he? Oh, well, because he didn't pay to get in. He works for me. He doesn't work in the night. Well, because he's in an angle, but he's not working a match. Well, then he needs to pay to get in. So Bob was trying to tell me that I had to have people pay to get in. There's also nights that we had a particular amount of time where one of Bob's friends was doing our camera work, and they banned cameras from our building, including ours. So we have an entire, you were there for that, it was like about a month of no footage. You know, most of that being Cooper and Mandrake's feud was involved in that. There's no footage of it.
What happened that caused that weekly show to stop?
Basically, Bob is what you would call money hungry, and if he finds an opportunity to make a cheap buck, he will do it, an easy buck. And from my understanding, we ran an Eclipse show that night as well. We opened up his boxing show, and Bob has a legal license to run boxing events. He does. He's been doing it for years now, right? At least 15 years, I know, if he's been doing this. And he ran a boxing show. We did the Eclipse show. During that night, a lot of us left early because Matt Ripley actually got hurt in a match. We took him to the hospital. And when we were leaving from there, there was cops showing up and everything like that. They almost arrested one of the Suburban Commandos because they thought they were there for this particular reason. Apparently, Bob was running an illegal MMA operation out of there, and they were having illegal shoot MMA fights. And on top of that, he had, I'm gonna guesstimate, 400 something people shoved into that tiny building, and fire marshal. So then when we showed up on that next Friday, and this is quite a normal talk because a lot of people weren't informed, they showed up and they were kind of upset with me. All week long after that incident, I asked Bob. I called Bob. I called Jason, his son, and I was like, do I need to cancel Friday? No. Don't worry about it. Do I need to cancel Friday? No, don't worry about it. So I was like, all right, fine. So I showed up at 2:30 in the afternoon. They hadn't been there since they had gotten shut down. And I went in and I cleaned everything up. I mean, it was disgusting. There was still food in there from the Saturday previous because, they hadn't been in there at all. I cleaned everything up. I set everything up. I cleaned up, the ring and all that stuff. Got all that stuff cleaned up, put everything away, set everything up, got all the music stuff set up. Fan showed up. Me and him set up all the music equipment. We set, we got all everything. Dirk Manning showed up, and me and him, busted ass, get everything ready. And we just kind of chilled and waited for the workers to start showing up. About 7:30, I get a call from Bob saying we can't run, that it's possible. And that was pretty much the end of it. That was it. He hit me up a week later. He was like, oh, well, I want to rent out the Armory in Dade City. I want to do this, that. And I was like, I'm not working with you anymore. It's been something that's, not what I want to do. And after that, You know, a lot of people ask what happened to me. I took a lot of time off to kind of just collect my thoughts, and basically, you know, we had this conversation on the phone, but basically, like, wrestling was not in my best interest at the moment because I had a lot more on my plate. I had surgery in August, completely healthy again, I guess you could say, for the most part. Going through the separation with my wife and things like that, you know, I had to take more focus on what was important in my life. However, with that being said, and I don't care, I hope this is actually in here for this reason, a lot of questions have come at me, a lot of people have asked, and it is official that the tentative date is April in Lakeland. We will be coming back weekly.
Okay.
So, and by we, I mean me and Eclipse. There will be no more junctions with anyone else. I will not be working with anyone else in that regard, just because I kind of lived and learned last time. So.
Okay. Second video. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about? Because there's probably plenty that we've covered.
I don't think so. I mean, besides the fact that, you know, he touched upon it a little bit, and in the back we butted heads really bad about pay. You know, just to clear out the situation, and he'll tell you, I wasn't asking for pay for myself. It was for, you know, the Joshes and the Mikeys and the guys that have been there since day one that weren't getting paid. And I felt that you shouldn't have started bringing in bigger names until they started getting paid. And yeah, I almost killed you that day. I did. I really wanted to grab you by the neck and strangle you. And you know, me and him have known each other for many, many years. We've worked in the same promotion. We've, you know, he's worked over there when the original Joe Bob was with us. And yeah, I don't like you. I don't. I really don't. I think you're a scumbag. And I think that's probably why you like a certain person out of another company that I don't like. 400-pound fucking fat bastard, but that's not the problem. Problem is, I know I don't like you. I really don't. And I'm pretty sure you have issues with me, you know, but I have a certain amount of respect for Martin because when he fucks up, he's man enough to say, I fucked up. However, I still don't like you. And, but I will tell you, you have my full support in April. So, I don't have any hatred towards PWE. I never disliked the company. I disliked the politics that went on in the back. I disliked all the confusion. I disliked the way they were running business. But I didn't dislike the product. Well, most of it. Kilito shits.
Okay. Did you want to respond to that, or because I want to ask you a little bit about Believe coming in, because that's been...
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay. So let me... Okay, one question, I'm going to read the question verbatim that I've been asking everyone. I've varied from the script a little bit with you two because there's a lot more history and a lot more emotion with you two, I think. Was how did Believe, bringing Believe in, how did it affect the product? And surprisingly, I'll tell you that most people say that it didn't help the overall product. Just to give you
right.
what almost everyone that I've asked so far, and I've probably done 7 of these.
Basically, the best way to explain it before anything is that Eclipse garnered a lot of hype out of nowhere. I'm like, you know, George and me disagree on some things, but I do, you know, he's right. I will admit certain things. And some of the hype Eclipse has gotten pre and post, you know, Joe Bob shutting down has kind of baffled me. Like, I had fun. We had some good matches. We had some good shows. I think that we have been romanticized a lot.